Well, good morning. David Penn here for the last two segments of the Royce White Show here on Real America's Voice. I'm so happy to be able to do this for Royce. We work together here at Free People Radio, right here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The studios of Free People Radio are in the belly of the beast here in Minneapolis, and I enjoy working with Royce very much, and I'm glad he gets to go do something that he's very underappreciated for. He's coaching young men, and I've done a lot of coaching and teaching. In fact, we call my podcast Professor Penn Podcast. I've been teaching most of my life. And the idea of teaching is to help people become fully integrated individuals who can pursue lives of meaning. And it could be done through many different disciplines. Royce's discipline is basketball, and he takes these young men and he uses the fulcrum, the crucible of sport, which is a fantastic process to take a young person and turn them into, well, for lack of a better idiom, to be all they can be. So I'm very glad to be here so he can go do that, because this is probably, in my opinion, the most meaningful thing we can do is to pass on the cultural knowledge of how to be a good person to the next generation, and that's lacking in our society. Royce was great today. He was very satirical, and I understand his attitude, because we're up here in Minnesota, and when Royce says that Minnesota is soft or that the people are soft, and I want to thank you for being here this morning. You know, we've lived in some very prosperous and very peaceful times here in the United States of America. That does breed a certain kind of ease, a certain kind of softness. Now, that's not for everybody. I did not grow up that way. I was born in the 50s. My family came here, refugees from Europe. Most of my family was killed in the Holocaust. I grew up with people that were deeply compromised. I made many sacrifices in my life to try to compensate for that. Lots of training, lots of hard work, still to this day. I never thought I would work this hard at this age. I thought, it's going to get easy for me. No, there will be no rest for me personally by choice, because I woke up and realized that my country was really in deep trouble. And I recognized that through personal participation in the political process, I had a chance to influence the outcomes in my own backyard. And I realize and I understand we're all looking at President Trump and the national and international issues, but I don't have any influence over what President Trump does other than to maybe comment on it for you. But in my own backyard, my own neighborhood, I'm politically potent. Royce is politically potent in Minnesota. And let me tell you how so. And if you're in Minnesota, I want to ask you, if you go, and you can do this nationally. Royce is again running for Senate. And why do I want to see Royce in the Senate? Our Congress is filled, as Royce was saying, with silk tie wearing, American flag lapel wearing, perfectly coiffed families. Went to Harvard, went to Princeton, went to law school, served in the military. These people have tremendous work histories, perfect family lives. And yet, we're $37 trillion in debt, and we've been in an endless war my entire life. Now, am I happy that President Trump announced this morning that there's a cessation of hostilities between two nuclear powers, India and Pakistan? Yes, I'm overjoyed. But President Trump is starting to remind me of the little Dutch boy sticking his fingers in the dike and trying to stop a flood. No, here in Minnesota, wherever you live, at the grassroots, that's where we have to change the Republican Party and make it an America First party. It is not and will not, as it is currently constituted, it will not have President Trump's back, and that's a great weakness, particularly in a time when President Trump is confronting a system and trying to alter a system that has grown up over 80 years since the end of World War II, the post-World War II Democrat liberal order. And when Royce says that he has no tears when British royalty die, well, hey, British royalty, do we have any idea how much money these people have squirreled away underneath those castles after 500 years of the British business model of slavery, drugs, and piracy? And do you and I realize as American citizens that we the people have inherited the security role, the bouncer role of the British Empire? Wherever there's conflict, we'll find the British in history scrambling the egg of that region. For example, in the Ukraine, Britain attacked first in 1805. The French attacked in 1812. I mean Russia. The British again, 1853. The Germans, 1942. This war goes back for hundreds of years. The British have been involved fighting with the Russians, the great game of Europe. The Middle East, come on. The whole place was a colony. The whole place. Pakistan and India? Pakistan is a creation of the crown. India was a colony. How about China? Now, Roy spoke about China, and I understand where he's coming from, and I see it because I've been there. But the Chinese, they also, just like we the people, were colonial subjects of the British Empire. So when President Trump announced that trade deal with Great Britain this past week, the first of many to come, the first thing I thought to myself was, wow, look who's in charge now. Look who's wresting back power from these European globalists who are working overtime to create one world government, one world economy, and one world currency. No, that's, if we get together, if we the people band together and actually get off that couch and get in this game. And I tell people, man, it's not a lifetime commitment. No, I'm giving all I have. I understand that people have different responsibilities. My children are grown, most of them. People are in different places in their life. But for 6 hours a year, if you're in Minnesota, you can go to roycewhite.us, the Royce White for Senate campaign website, and there is a place where you can go up right below the fold, right below the landing page, Caucus Counterattack. You can register there, put your name in, say you want to go to caucus. You're going to say, what's a caucus? You go there, someone from the campaign is going to get in touch with you personally, and we're going to help you become a Royce White delegate for Senate in 2026. And there's a side benefit. When you become a delegate to the Republican Party of Minnesota, you can change this rhino, soft, collaborationist party into something that's really going to have the back of the American people. We want to have a party that represents the will of the people, not the will of the donor class, not the will of the, should we say the paid political professionals who parasitize we the people, giving us candidates that are born to lose, giving us platforms that are not for the well-being of my family. No, we can change this. The first place I want to start is, what can I do inside myself in my thinking to change things? Well, let me tell you what President Trump is doing, because he's just like you and me. He's a man, a great man, a man. And here's what they say. It's all chaos. Chaos. No, it's not chaos. It's change. President Trump is changing this globalist system so that we, the people, don't go bankrupt. As we speak to each other today, our Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, is in Geneva, Switzerland, meeting with a trade delegation from the Chinese government, seeking some kind of walk back from this trade war. Well, what is President Trump really doing? Well, there's a lot of different levels to this. At one level, he's raising money so we don't go bankrupt, which I think was the plan of the Democrat, to bankrupt this country so that we all were dependent. No, he wants us to be rich again. Thank you. That's a great idea. At another level, he wants to bring jobs back, and there are 5 sectors where there is broad bipartisan agreement to bring these industries back to the United States: automobile manufacturing, steel and aluminum, pharma, semiconductors, and shipbuilding. These great industries are coming home. Isn't that great? But what I think he's really doing at the deepest level is he's trying to weaken the Iron Triangle, the alliance between Russia, Iran, and China, called the Iron Triangle because it can never be broken. Well, President Trump is testing that iron, trying to create cracks in that cooperation so that we walk back from this potential confrontation, which could bring the world into a nuclear conflagration. And how is he doing it? Well, hey, number one, he's trying to make peace in the Ukraine. Oh, there's peace breaking out today between India and Pakistan. Why did that pop off right now? Well, do we all know that Pakistan is a client state of the Chinese? They don't buy toilet paper in Pakistan without asking Beijing for approval before they place the purchase order. So when you see war break out between Pakistan and India, oh, well, we can look underground and see some Chinese influence. Yes, President Trump is trying to get things back in the center of the road. Secondary sanctions on Iranian oil buyers. Who would that be? That's the Chinese. They buy 90% of the oil that Iran exports every year, propping up Iran, and Iran props up Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis. So you can see that these things are very deep. There's the surface, then there's the next level, and at the bottom level, it's a confrontation between two superpowers. Yes, it is. And how it's going to come out is going to be determined by how tough we are as the American people. Well, I'm going to come right back for segment 4 after you stay tuned for these messages from Patriot advertisers. Thanks very much.